Former Surgeon General and former Senate candidate Richard Carmona spoke to the Candidate Confessional podcast on Huffington Post about what he had to go through when running for the Senate. And he explained how you wouldn't believe the amount of fundraising that they have to do. Now, again, people like you and me, if you're in my audience, you probably know very well what's going on with corruption and money in politics. But this was surprising even to me. So he explains here, quote, "It was terrible because every day I had to spend several hours a day on the phone, up to 4 hours. They give you call lists, and when I went to Washington a few times to visit, I was at the senatorial campaign offices right across from the Capitol. I would see all the senators there every day. They have rotations. They would be coming in and sitting at a phone for 2 to 3 hours a day, sometimes 4, and the Republicans did too. You'd blame the other guy and ask for money so you could go there and save the world. It was so disingenuous. So disingenuous." So Huffington Post goes on here. In the end, Carmona didn't do so poorly when it came to hustling for campaign cash. He raised $6.45 million for his race, but not enough to keep pace with his opponent, Representative Jeff Flake, who collected more than $9 million. The money differential was a factor in Carmona's defeat. Okay, now, not only is it a factor, as we've discussed based on studies before, when you look at the House of Representatives and the Senate, oftentimes it's anywhere from 90% to 95% of the time, the person that raises the most money ends up winning. Think about that fact. That's unbelievable. That shows you we don't have a democracy. We have more of an oligarchy or a plutocracy. The person who raises the most money 90 to 95% of the time wins. So that means that the formula is raise the most money. Because what happens is when you can raise more money, you can run more ads, you can get your name out there more, and people will vote for you more. If you don't have money, you can't get your name out there, nobody knows who the fuck you are, nobody's going to vote for you. So the system is built on corruption. And what they're saying is literally every day that they work, they're raising money, and it's 3 to 4 hours a day. The minimum is 2 hours a day. They say at a different part in the article that they spend the same amount of time raising money as they do doing actual work. The work that you would, hope that politicians do, which is, okay, going to committee hearings, proposing bills, voting on the bills. That's stunning. It's a 50-50 split between selling out and being corrupt and actually doing what your job is supposed to be. And let's face it, when they do their job, now they're just representing the same people who they raised the money from. That's the whole point. That's what this system is built on. Oh, I got X amount of money from ExxonMobil and X amount of money from this hedge fund on Wall Street. Well, turns out I'm going to propose a bill tomorrow that gives them subsidies. Why? Because they fucking paid me. It's I scratch your back, you scratch mine. If I want money my next election cycle, I got to do their bidding. This is just saving my ass 101 here. This is how the system functions. So why would anybody, how can anybody of good conscience look at this and go, that's the system I want. Rock and roll, no problem here, nothing to see here, move along. Mind your business. No. This is my business, and you're not representing the people anymore. And to all those people who are engaged in this, all the politicians, whether they're senators, whether they're congressmen and they're in the House of Representatives, do you really want to do this? So if I was emperor for a day, the first thing I would do is say, we're now having clean elections by law, public funding of elections. No private money is now banned from politics. And then you know what you could do? Spend all your workday doing what your real job is supposed to be, which is proposing bills, voting on bills, going to committee hearings, learning about this stuff, listening to your constituents. I would make it so you don't have to do this anymore. Why would you want to keep doing this? But see, that's the thing. If you play this game the best, you have job security. Because you'll always raise the most money and you'll always get reelected and you have career politicians. So we need to stop that, man. We have to stop it. And they should be on our side here, but you're never going to get them to vote money out of their own pocket because there's another angle to this as well. When you have the politicians who sell out the best, they're the ones who get elected, again, because they raise the most money and get their name out there the most. But then also when they leave office, they get to go to any of the people who bought them and say, no, I want a consulting job. And then they get paid millions of dollars to do bupkis. They get to sit on their ass all day and get paid money because they're consultants or lobbyists. and they don't have to do anything. They already gave the business, a whole bunch of perks and a whole bunch of favoritism and nepotism when they were in office and when they were in power, so now it's time for the company to pay them back, and they pay them back. So we got to stop this revolving door and this grotesque, corrupt system. This is the root of every single problem in Washington and in the United States of America. Because if this wasn't the major roadblock in the way, the politicians would represent the people because it would be us funding their campaign. So then you could actually have a battle of ideas and competing philosophies, and we could actually try to get stuff done for the country. And there would still be conservatives, don't get me wrong, but, you would have, I think, since the American public, according to the opinion polls, is overwhelmingly left-leaning on almost every issue, you'd have more people elected that represent that. And then you'd get more likely those policies put in place. So this is what we have to do moving forward, and everybody should be outraged by this story.